We'll bring you on into the temps, and we're all doing okay. Wow, 750 degrees in Gila Bend right now. And 1,270 in Ahwatukee. Now, I'm not authorized to evacuate Ahwatukee, but this temperature seems pretty high.
Cave Creek is really
Yeah, Cave Creek, Fountain Hills, they don't look good either. And frankly, Wickenburg is a total loss.
Oh my God.
You might as well just get out of anywhere along this 60 here. It's very warm. Surprise is starting to heat up as well at 1,300 degrees. So again, the safe spots seem to be Chandler and Mesa. Scottsdale is doing okay so far, but you know, you're sort of surrounded by some pretty intense heat. So, you know, again, I'm not your dad, but I would get out while you still can. I think steel boils at about this temperature, so Cave Creek, there's probably nothing left up there right now. So don't even bother looting up there. It's not going to be worth it.
People are like, oh no, the Earth is a globe. If it's a globe, everyone in Australia is walking around upside down, mate.
Fake news.
Fake news. Why doesn't the ocean just fall into the sky then?
Because gravity's bullshit.
People are so dumb.
They're so dumb.
It's just a cough.
Yeah, right. And the Earth is flat.
Treat your cough seriously with Robitussin CF Max. Nothing lasts longer and treats more symptoms for your cough, cold, and flu. Robitussin, because it's never just a cough.
Flat Earth expert Mark Sargent thinks the moon landing was a hoax.
Technically, the moon itself is a hoax.
Right, but betting with Sportsbet's new iPhone app?
I could do this standing on my head.
Thanks, Gravity. Sportsbet's new iPhone app. It's foolproof.
Lexi, tell us something interesting.
Okay, the Earth is flat, and a witch stole his pants.
Hold on, I know how we're different. Do you believe the Earth is flat?
I know it's flat. I walk on it.
Holy
Do you think the Earth is flat, Snoop? What do you think?
It's a flat world after all.
Smoke weed every day.
It's good to see you. I must go. I know I will go.
Broadcasting straight to you from a large spaceship, currently at war with mainstream science. Meanwhile, the peanut gallery is boarding up his shop, stocking the ammo, and ensuring he does not have any empty shelves. I see what he did there. We thought the C virus was going to change our way of life. Now perhaps it's the idiotic riots, or maybe, just maybe, there is something else coming in the next couple of weeks. He doesn't know because, in his honest opinion, mankind has lost all common sense and the agenda is truly hidden. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Strange World, where the truth is often stranger in fiction. I'm your host, Mark Sargent, the creator of Flat Earth Clues, which propose that all of us are living inside a Truman Show enclosed structure, thousands of miles wide. Check it out at enclosedworld.com or just Google Flat Earth Clues. If you can't find it, well, you're just not very good at the internet, or you're taking part in the riots. For those of you listening to this on YouTube and you want to hear the show live as it happens, please go to Truth Frequency Radio for the latest schedule. Currently, the show is on Tuesday nights at 7 Pacific, 10 Eastern. And yes, Caroline, if it is not June 2nd in the year of our Lord 2020, then you are listening to a rerun. Quote of the day goes exactly like this. The simple people are meat for slaughter, to be used when they are useful in causing trouble for the opposing power, and to be sacrificed when they are no longer of use. Who said that? Umberto Eco. I don't know who that is. The Mark Sargent 2020 challenge is in effect. This is my personal declaration of war against mainstream science. I, Mark Sargent, put forth a challenge to any university, foreign or domestic, to loan me a self-contained spacesuit, put me in a vacuum chamber, and pull the switch. Find out what happens. For more information, please check out Flat Earth Clues Part 13, The Lost Nail. My co-host, well, she's lovely, she's sometimes sassy, and she's always lethal, and currently she's spoken for. And that is Karen B. What's going on, Karen?
Oh, just hiding out in the woods, waiting until this madness secedes, which I don't know if it ever will, but...
You don't have people with pitchforks and torches walking down your driveway chanting?
No, not yet.
I don't think they're ever going to get to the suburbs. I mean, yeah, they hit a couple places in Los Angeles and a few outskirts of New York and stuff like that, but there's only some...
Suburbs, though. I'm beyond the suburbs. They would have to be done with suburbs before they got here.
Yeah. You're in okay shape, and I'm up on an island. Protesters actually would have to get on a ferry boat. I don't think they'd actually let them do it. Hey, Karen, have you heard when you wake up to the flat earth reality, it can be a lonely place? Talking with friends and family can become contentious and often doesn't end well, sometimes getting hit with bricks. There is nothing more exciting than waking up a family member or close friend from the globe lie. One of the best ways to do this is by gifting the Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app, and then asking them to take the Flat Earth Clock Challenge. Watch the featured video every day for 2 weeks and see what happens. It'll be the best $2.99 you ever spent. That's good, clean family fun.
I need to do that to my oldest son. My oldest son is trolling me. He has a little, his YouTube channel. He doesn't really make videos, but the other day he mirrored the SpaceX launch.
Yeah, that thing. The thing that you and I were both on. The streaming thing on Rose 777's channel with David Weiss and Jaron and Russian Vids. And it was really short. It was brief. I mean, there wasn't much going on at all. I mean, they hid the booster landing on the barge, and then the two camera angles that screwed everybody up. One showed a severe curvature, and the other showed no curvature at all, and sometimes even some concave.
It was even concave. That's right. There was like 3 or 4 different curvatures at any given time.
Yeah, and it was. And it was short, 15 minutes in, and that was it. I mean, that was the bulk of their broadcast. The rest of it was just color commentary back at Mission Control, and that was, we stretched it out to about an hour, and then we were done. So,
Mark, have you ever? You have to have been to one of those amusement parks, right? Where they have like it's a screen and it's just a ride. It's like a capsule with no windows, and it's on hydraulics, and it just kind of changes its orientation according to the ground to make you feel like you're going up or down.
Yeah.
Space Star Tours or whatever.
Yeah.
Tell me that the dudes inside that capsule look like they were not even as jostled as one of those rides.
Absolutely.
Like, not even as bad as a amusement park ride.
Absolutely. I mean, it should have been. They should have been rocking and rolling and shaking. I joked about their suits, and I was wrong. Apparently, those are G-force suits, and they can be pressurized, not for a spacewalk or anything. But then, like 6 or 7 hours in the flight, they cut to these guys heading towards the space station, and the suits were gone entirely. They were down to their khakis and polo shirts and socks. I'm going, what? You didn't even bother leaving them on for the whole trip? Why'd you have them on in the first place?
Yeah.
Because you were pushing so many G's in the beginning that, like you said, they certainly didn't show it.
They're sitting there. They weren't even like, I mean, come on. They would have at least been, if from nothing else, from the rumbling. Come on. Had to be doing something. It was so ridiculous.
I tell you. All right. Well, let me do this because I want to do a rant before we bring on, because tonight we have a special guest. We have Jim McGuire, pilot, who we've had on before.
Yes.
Great guy. We're going to talk a little bit about flat Earth, talk a little about the virus and how it doesn't make sense because of airplanes, and also talk about, because he's in Virginia, and they put the everybody must wear a mask at all times into effect. And so I'm also curious about that. And, who knows? Maybe they're riding down there, although I don't really know. Next week, the rant, I'm gonna come up with something special because people keep asking me in different interviews. They say, "Hey, Mark, what do you believe in?" And I get that. So what else do you believe in besides flat Earth? And so I'm gonna lay it all out in very brief, rapid fire next week. It's going to be called "The Truths You Didn't Know But Secretly Suspected." This week, however. And feel free to get some tea, Karen, because you're going to have at least a dozen minutes for this one. This one is called Mainstream Media, Sometimes a Blessing, Mostly a Curse. A little story. And by the way, you know what? Before we even start this, who's got their sound on? Their Skype sounds.
That's not me. Is that me?
I don't know. Hang on, I'm going into notifications.
And I have Do Not Disturb on, so I should not.
Chat. I'm turning off chat notifications. See if that does it for me. Somebody. Here, you know what? Let's do a test, and then we'll start this over again. Nope, that didn't do it either. You're hearing that, right?
I do hear that.
There's a little tweeting under settings in Skype. There's something called notifications. And I have turned chat notifications off.
I turned mine off too. Okay, try it now.
All right. So if we do test. Nope.
That's not me. I just turned mine off.
Tina, you're hosting. Will you please check yours before I do this? Either that or nobody type anything while I'm doing the monologue. Either way. I don't know where that's coming. Don't know where it's coming from. General. Accountability. It should be under notifications, right? Messaging?
Yeah. And I went to notifications. First of all, my sound, I have Do Not Disturb on, and I turned the notifications off for this group.
All right. And
I have headphones on.
I'm going to put Do Not Disturb on. Where do you turn Do Not Disturb on?
Up in the upper, where your little icon is, where you see the little green dot? Click on.
Oh, right. You know what? I'm going to make mine.
Make it red. I bet it goes away.
Do not disturb. And your presence, that you will not receive notifications about incoming calls. All right, So let's try it now. Ready? Nope. I think it's the host. But whatever. You guys don't type anything while I'm doing the monologue. Right?
I'm not going to type.
Do it privately.
Types.
Okay, so
that's the refrain.
So let me crank past this. Okay, so it's called, we'll try this again, Mainstream Media, Sometimes a Blessing, Mostly a Curse. My phone rings. God damn it. Oh, my God.
I even muted for you.
The what?
I said I even muted for you.
Oh, that's so nice. Okay, anyway, Mainstream Media, Sometimes a Blessing, Mostly a Curse. A little story I'd like to share with you, which should have made the news, but because of timing, didn't. There's a grocery store about 5 miles from here. During this so-called pandemic, they have been very proactive about social distancing. They have the arrows on the floors, limit the amount of people that come in, and one of their employees sprays down the cart handles and baskets with a light bleach solution. So this employee takes a break and leaves his bleach sprayer next to the carts. A random woman who is standing in line takes the bottle and sprays down her own cart handle. But then she snaps and starts spraying the people. Not everyone, just the people who are not wearing masks. As you can imagine, things went downhill from there. She was immediately arrested and then banned from the store for life. Now, a week ago, this would have been an interesting side piece tied to the virus. It would have made the news. But that was last week. This week, we have a law enforcement-inspired race war. Tear gas and rubber bullets will win that ratings battle every time. Who doesn't love a good riot? And no one knows how to hype up the intensity better than mainstream. CNN, which just celebrated their 40th birthday, even sent one of their remote teams in as bait. They picked a black reporter, walked their camera team right up to the police lines in Minneapolis, and stood there broadcasting, like they were exempt from the rules of riot protocol, like battlefield medics during World War I. The police, of course, grew tired of this and arrested the camera team one by one. Publicly, CNN was outraged because law enforcement had the nerve to arrest members of the press. But behind the scenes, they wanted their black reporter to take some body shots and get pinned to the ground. It's better television and better ratings, and that's one of the big media secrets. On camera, they wish for peace. Off camera, they pray for war. It's just good business. Flat Earth has given me a lot of interesting insights for the last 5 years. Every producer I have had drinks with has said basically the same words. Officially, we don't want anyone to die. Unofficially, we always want the plane to crash. Human beings are a curious bunch, and nothing intrigues us more than tragedy. As some of you know, it's not the car wreck that slows down traffic. It's all the other cars braking to catch a glance of the carnage. The media learned this way before cars were invented and has tailored their stories and headlines to maximize their effect on the general public. What makes it difficult for me is that sometimes I love the media. It's both a blessing and a curse of our civilization. I have absorbed so much of it over the years, I can see the patterns, the formulas. Media is a tool, a means to an end, and like most tools, can be used to build or destroy. Let's get some of the obvious concerns out of the way first. Is there such a thing as fake news? Officially, if you ask anyone in the media, they will tell you no. Fake news is just a concept made up by conspiracy people. If you ever hear this from someone, reply with the following. Everything on CNN is absolutely true, and everything on Fox News is absolutely true. Now, if you vote on a federal level, you are going to have a hard time agreeing with both of those statements. Why? Because every major news network is owned by a parent company, and those corporations have interests they need to protect. CNN isn't going to run a negative story about its own network, or any company tied to it. All networks are like this. And when a scandal happens with journalists themselves, that's when it gets interesting. The competing networks cover the story with focused intensity, but the host network just gets rid of the guilty party. They disappear. Bill O'Reilly had a leading show on Fox, and then one day, after a sex scandal, he was gone. No fanfare, just gone. Matt Lauer was practically an institution on NBC until his sex scandal. Then the network removed all traces of him from the building. It's like he never existed. As a viewer, it's not a very satisfying ending, but I suppose it is a form of closure. Because of the corporations that own mainstream media, it's almost impossible to get any type of objective journalism. There are a large number of topics that just aren't covered, ranging from the mildly out of bounds to uncomfortable taboos to blatant national security issues hidden in plain sight. What we get fed to us every day is just a small fraction of the truth, and those carefully selected slivers are bent and molded to serve agendas hidden behind locked doors. Rosie O'Donnell talked about Building 7 while she was a host on The View, and the network banned her from television for years. To this day, most Americans don't even know what Building 7 is. Think about that. A 50-story building collapses in New York City in broad daylight, and all anyone remembers are the two towers. Why? Because the media isn't allowed to talk about it. Behind the scenes, I've made simple test statements to different producers in media. One of them is that there are no gay leading men in Hollywood. They chuckle and say, of course there are. I say, really? Who? Then they look down and shuffle their feet. You see, the companies that own the media rights to those actors don't want to risk their audience base, and the media won't risk the potential lawsuit. It's just not worth it for the story. Again, it's a business decision. It's about money. Speaking of business, every television network has a finance department, a group that focuses on the various stock markets. These markets are, a matter of fact, casinos, the world's biggest gambling houses. The media knows this, but will always encourage people to invest in stocks. Why? Because the parent companies tied to those networks have a stake in those casinos. They are publicly traded. We'll dive deeper into that next week. By far, my biggest complaint about mainstream media is its almost genius ability to be consistently inconsistent. Sometimes they are blind, sometimes ignorant, sometimes both. Sometimes their hands are tied, but often the media are just complicit to a higher power. If you throw enough money their way, you can buy a story or a series of stories. Money talks, in this case, literally. During the moon missions, the networks were forced by the government to travel to the Space Center and film their broadcast from a monitor projection second generation. They all complained, but had no power to get anything more. The limit of their authority stops at the government's doorstep. They knew full well that the cyclist Lance Armstrong was cheating his way to championships, but had no way to prove it. And that went on for 7 years, until he finally confessed. Since the media is now over 90% liberal or left, they can directly challenge a Republican president on his policy because they have the numbers. If the president, however, is left, then things are more strict. Like when Joan Rivers implied that Michelle Obama was transgender. There's an interesting end to that story. You might want to look into it. They accept the money from Big Pharma and then tell people to take all vaccines, and in the same breath tell the same people that celebrities don't do weird things with their free time and money, like having orgies with minors, and possibly kill them. According to the news, human trafficking is real. But famous people don't take part in it. Hostel was just a movie series. It wasn't based on anything. All sounds perfectly reasonable to me. The media will also recite whatever is in the history books. Despite revisions that the woke communities have made over the years, we will cover most of that next week, but some of you already know what I mean. The Revolutionary War wasn't about freedom, it was about money. The Civil War wasn't about slavery, it was also about money. And my favorite war, because it was so media-based, was the Spanish-American War. The reason why we have that fourth guy on Mount Rushmore. You remember who they are, right? Washington, Jefferson, Lincoln, and the other guy. Maybe this will help. Frederick Remington, the famous artist who brought to life American images of the West, was hired by newspaper magnate William Randolph Hearst to illustrate the revolution erupting in Cuba. He wrote back to Hearst one day in January of 1897. "Everything is quiet. There is no trouble. There will be no war. I wish to return." Hearst sent back the now famous note, "Please remain. You furnish the pictures, and I'll furnish the war." When the USS Maine exploded in a harbor in Cuba in 1898, just a year later, Hearst newspapers soon ran a story entitled, "The warship Maine was split in two by an enemy's secret infernal machine." This was, of course, the weapons of mass destruction of its day. The notion that Spain would sink an American warship unprovoked was itself suspicious, and the claim that the Spanish destroyed the USS Maine with an explosive device was a bald-faced lie, concocted by the powers that be using media as a tool to accomplish their goals, that being the expansion of the American empire. And it worked. The U.S. now claims Puerto Rico, Guam, and the Philippines because of that story. Don't get me wrong. The media isn't without its charms. I sometimes enjoy how every local and national station will track Santa Claus on Christmas Eve, although I thought CNN went a bit too far when they brought the Pentagon in and had a sleigh and reindeer escorted by fighter planes. But don't forget, at their core, everyone in the media is just a talking head, similar to Ron Burgundy. They will read everything that the producers put on the teleprompter and just roll with it. A perfect example of this being an Arizona weatherman who read out temperatures posted on screen that were in thousands of degrees. Just search for Arizona weatherman. You'll find it. Can you use the mainstream media to your advantage? Well, sure. But having a ton of money helps. We've seen this portrayed in movies over the years, from Citizen Kane to Wag the Dog, just to name a few. What hope does the common man have to compete against governments and mega corporations? I'll give you a few tips. First, remember that the people of media are lazy just like everyone else. They want easy answers and easy stories, so don't overcomplicate things. Keep it simple. Second, do their work for them. Be as detailed as you can, and that includes creating your own catchphrases and sound bites. If something resonates with them and it's not your first choice, then go with it anyway. What do I mean by this? If you're wearing a red shirt, if you like wearing red shirts, but people around you keep saying that blue is your color, then in public, wear blue. Give the people what they want. Third, make yourself available. That means give the media a way to find you. I have lost count of people saying that the interview happened because they found my phone number. You want to use the media, put yourself out there. Your name and phone number or email is fine. Producers don't want to talk with Ace of Spades 234. They want to talk to whoever is behind it. And while we're on people behind the scenes, remember that on-air personalities are rarely the ones calling the shots. Most of the time it's the producers. They choose the stories, and they are the ones that are influenced by outside parties. Last, and certainly not least, remember that mainstream media, the news, and everything related to it is just an extension of the gossip chains we grew up with. Gossip is just a part of being human. An informal exchange of information that either builds up or tears down people we know, people we aspire to be, and others we hate. All forms of media amplify all those traits, not just the obvious tabloids, but the subtle patterns that every network follows. You see them every day. Good news for celebrity, bad news for celebrity, celebrity scandal, celebrity shocker. It's the schoolyard whispers just made louder and put on screen. Never, ever underestimate the power of words, the gossip chains, and the rumor mills. The media has known for a very long time that the pen is indeed often mightier than the sword. Let's finish this with a short story from Germany that is a perfect example of words can do. It's called The Brave Little Tailor from 1640. A tailor is preparing to eat some jam, but when flies settle on it, he kills 7 of them with one blow on his hand. He makes a belt describing the deed, reading 7 at one blow. Inspired, he sets out in the world to seek his fortune. The tailor meets a giant who assumes that 7 at one blow refers to 7 men. The giant challenges the tailor. When the giant squeezes water from a boulder, the tailor squeezes milk from cheese. The giant throws a rock far into the air and eventually lands. The tailor counters the feat by tossing a bird that flies way into the sky. The giant believed the small bird is a rock, which is thrown so far that it never lands. Later, the giant asks the tailor to help him carry a tree. The tailor directs the giant to carry the trunk, while the tailor will carry the branches. Instead, the tailor climbs on, so the giant carries him as well, but it appears the tailor is supporting the branches. Unimpressed, the giant brings the tailor to the giant's home where the other giants live as well. During the night, the giant attempts to kill the tailor by bashing the bed. However, the tailor, having found the bed too large, had slept in the corner. Upon returning and seeing the tailor alive, the other giants flee in fear of the small man. The tailor enters the royal service, but the other soldiers are afraid that he will lose his temper someday, and then 7 of them might die with every blow. They tell the king that either the tailor leaves military service or they will. Afraid of being killed for sending him away, the king instead attempts to get rid of the tailor by sending him to defeat 2 giants, along with 100 horsemen, offering him half his kingdom and his daughter's hand in marriage if the tailor can kill the giants. By throwing rocks at the 2 giants while they sleep, the tailor provokes the pair into fighting each other until they kill each other, and at which time the tailor stabs the giants in their hearts. This goes on like this. But eventually, here's what happens. Duly impressed, the king relents, marries the tailor to the princess, and makes the tailor the ruler of half the original kingdom. The tailor's new wife hears him talking in his sleep and realizes with fury that he was merely a tailor and not a noble hero. Upon the princess's demands, the king promises to have him killed and carried off. A squire warns the tailor of the king's plan. While the king's servants are outside the door, the brave little tailor pretends to be talking in his sleep and says, "Boy, make the jacket for me and patch those trousers, or I will hit you across your ears with a yardstick. I have struck down 7 with one blow, killed 2 giants. Now I am supposed to be afraid of those who are standing just outside the bedroom?" Now, the king does not try to assassinate him. The tailor lives out his days as a king. The end. Back in 3.
Real people, real TFR. Truth Frequency Radio.
Welcome back to Strange World Part 2 of 4. It's you, me, Karen B. How's it going, Karen?
Great. Just great.
Oh, good. Well, we're going to bring in, if I can find the phone lines. 1 second. I was trying to figure out how to get rid of the... We're only going to message privately until we can figure out... I think it's happening on TFR, the little beeping sound.
So much for messaging privately.
What? Who just did that? No, I'll bring him in. You guys are killing me. All right. Well, actually, he's in right now, apparently. So, Jim, are you there?
I am. I was just waiting for you guys to say something. I didn't want to jump in.
No, it's fine.
Can you hear me all right?
I can hear you all right. So let's briefly go into your biography. You've been a pilot for how many years?
Almost 40 years.
40 years. And you came in
and
go ahead.
Yeah, basically I started out in 1978 and kind of worked there like that till 2017 when I got ill and I couldn't maintain my medical anymore. But I've flown everything from jets to low-level surveillance airplanes. So I've been flying low-level stuff. To be honest with you, I enjoyed that more than anything else because you're in a smaller airplane going about 140 miles an hour, 500 feet above the ground. And that's where I did a lot of my flying. But I've seen the world from 41,000 feet down to almost sea level in an airplane. So that's a lot of my experience has been with that and turboprops. And I flew charter here in this area for a while. And that's my last gig was flying charter. So nice. That's kind of my background.
Cool. And just so we can clarify here, while you've been flying, have you seen any evidence of curvature whatsoever?
I have not. I think you and I talked about this once before. You kind of see what you think you're told you see, but a lot of times I'd be looking out at you'd see a lot of times the shadow of the sun through the mountains, from a long way away, of course, creating that radiant type pattern. But I never saw anything, and I know that when we did all our calculations for destinations and stuff like that, there was no planning for curvature, or we didn't adjust altitude for curvature and stuff like that. So I didn't really think that much about it till, like you've said, everybody else, we started into this thing kind of looking at that little sidebar saying, oh, flat Earth, I'll check it out just for a laugh. And, here I am talking to you 5 years later. I guess you and I kind of started at just about the same time because you hadn't completed all the your
clues
setups there, your clues before when I joined it. So I've seen nothing, and I think as I've listened to the different people you put on, has made me more and more aware that there are other people from the gunnery officers, and for me about the gyroscopes and stuff like that. They just won't work on a globe.
Yeah.
So
nice.
That's but that's kind of my background, and it's been kind of a long journey, but I've really enjoyed it. Enjoyed getting to know you. Karen, I don't know quite as well, but I enjoyed chatting with her last time. So that's been good.
Yeah. I mean, it's been amazing only in 5 years what has been accomplished and how far we've come. So many conferences, so many meetups. The media, I'm having a hard time trying to find media that hasn't talked about this at one point or another, and it's been very wild. I wanted to bring you in for a couple of reasons.
It was just fun.
Go ahead.
Sure. Go ahead.
Oh, no.
Go ahead. Jump in there.
Oh, I was just going to say that one of the reasons we talked recently was initially as 2020 being the strangest year on record as far as I can tell, the virus. One of my pet peeves about the whole virus thing was that they never shut down the airports. And look, you've heard me say this a bunch of times. Like I've done I haven't flown as much as you, obviously, but I've done a bunch of business travel, and every business traveler knows the same thing, and that is once you get up to a certain altitude, you're basically in an incubator. And if there are a couple of people that are sick on that plane with a cough, you know full well it's like, oh, I'm going to be getting a cough this weekend because you're in this plane with them. There's no way to escape it. And so I wanted your kind of take on that. Where because when we were talking the other day, you agreed. Give me your take on how things spread in a plane.
Yeah, here's the thing what it works out when the way you create the pressure in the airplane is it strips it off the engine and the compressor section, and it pushes it into the cabin. And there are different things that happen to it while that process is going on. But what's interesting to notice is that what determines how much pressure is in the actual cabin is the outflow. The input is always pretty much the same. There is one deviation. If you're taxiing and your engine power is very low, it'll take it off a more powerful part of the engine to give you more airflow. But actually in the air, it comes from one source, and what determines how much power or how much pressure differential there is the valve opens and closes to allow that to happen. And I think that's where you and I were talking, is that when you get to higher altitude, to maintain that pressure, they can't let as much out. And so you basically sit there with this stuff going on. And of course, you have all the different places that you're near somebody, you're touching something, you're touching the table in front of you, the armrest and stuff like that, somebody coughing. And of course, everybody's very close. And it's very, when you flew the smaller turboprops like I did, it was like being in an SUV.
Yeah.
So if you had somebody sick in that unit, and so I use the pressure to help people. Like if I was flying children or dogs or people that were sick, I would intentionally keep the airplane at as low an altitude as I could, and that kept the pressurization closer to sea level. And I just, that was the way I did it, just to allow to take care of my passengers over the times that I flew them, because I had some people that had lung problems and stuff like that. But that's how, if you go to full altitude, the things kind of, it has to keep all the pressure and stuff into the cabin as much, at least in our airplanes. Big airplanes, I haven't flown the 777s, but I talked with my friend, as I told you I would, and he said pretty much the same thing happens. The only thing that's funny about his as opposed to mine is, like in mine, you could be sitting up there, and if the passengers open the coffee thermos, you could smell it, because all the air flows toward the pilot, so we can smell any problem in the airplane, if there's oil or smoke or something like that. So the smaller turboprops, everything flows forward, and that's so I can
like you were saying that the
dogs.
Go ahead.
I said, right, if they have coffee or they open it, sometimes we get them sandwiches, and you can tell when they're opening it, oh, they got a ham and cheese, that type of thing. So you knew what was going on. So no doubt. I mean, and you're absolutely right. When they start brewing coffee, you can smell it throughout the entire plane. And people, I get it. People, we're not taught a lot of microbiology when we're going through school, but come on, you pick up a few things. Like, look, if you can smell coffee through that entire plane, that means what coffee is flowing through the entire plane. Everything goes through that plane. Yes.
And people forget, it's like, look, there's a reason why you're not allowed to smoke on planes anymore. And you haven't been able to smoke for years. And that is because the smoke will get to you. I mean, you're not going to have a guy blowing it in your face.
Not only.
Go ahead.
Yeah, well, not only that, what it did, that valve where you let the air out, when people were smoking, that would put smoke residue on that valve, and it would actually make it malfunction, or allow it to leak. So that was another reason. So not only, you're right, if a guy lit up a cigarette in the back of the airplane, everybody gets it. Yeah. And so any germs that are in the airplane are moving out of the cabin. And I don't think he told me in the big jets they don't have HEPA filters or anything like that. With this that can filter out the smaller particulates.
No.
So it's just plain old, air filter like you get in the
like
air
a home,
conditioner.
Yeah, like a home filter.
That's what's interesting. Yeah, a home unit. It's like in the airplanes I flew, it was like a small electric unit in the back of the airplane for the air conditioner, and it added in the pressurization with that, and so it was very, very. It didn't have very good filtering type situation.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
Yep, absolutely. And so the short version for anyone out there listening is that airplanes are an absolute incubator. I have said this, said it once, I've said it a million times, and that is every model we have ever run since the 70s has said the same thing, which is once you get into an airplane, if you have a chance of affecting people, you're infecting people in that plane. It's absolutely going to happen. And yet, at no point, in fact, I still have not heard, all the airports were open because people in certain positions of power needed to get to places. So you had to leave the airports open. But it goes against everything that we know. Now, 90% of the people aren't flying, but they still have flights. And a lot of flights were canceled. But you and I were talking, the part that I loved so much was the overkill in the beginning where they said, the airline said, oh, yeah, we're going to rip out the middle seats in the plane. So it's like, oh, wow, they're serious, right? Yeah. And they didn't. And then they said, okay, well, we're never going to book middle seats. We're just going to leave those completely open. Well, and then that didn't happen. It's like, okay, we're only going to book middle seats in the back half of the airplane. And the next thing you know, they're just taking their money because it's like, look, it's all about money, and they're hemorrhaging money so badly. But at no point did the airport shut down. And that goes against everything you would do in an actual pandemic. First thing you would do in a pandemic is shut the airports down. That's what you would do. And they at no point did that. So, anyway.
It's amazing. I would be interested. You saw the thing, I don't know, maybe years ago on Mythbusters, where they had something that showed how they ate a dinner together and how one person touching everything and the black light, everything, I think there were 8 people at the table. And by the end of the meal, every plate, every serving dish had been touched.
Yeah.
And the only way to stop it would be literally to isolate that one person. But unless you can do that, if they touch anything, breathe anything, it'd be interesting to see if you could do black light out of the cabin of an airplane and just see, represent something, see how fast it flowed down through that airplane. Because
airplanes,
when you can see it, it's pretty remarkable.
Yeah, there's certain places you can't do social distancing on, or that's really, really difficult. I mean, like stadiums, very difficult to do. Arenas, rock concerts, almost impossible. But the same thing with airplanes. I mean, airplanes were designed to cram in as many people as possible. I mean, it's a flying bus, for God's sakes. And it's just really, really tough. The only industry that packs people in that are just going overkill, and I think it's because they've got the money to burn, and I just found this out recently, were the casinos that are going to be reopening. And that is, they have bought huge amounts of plexiglass, and they're basically setting up plexiglass cubicles around everything. So if you want to work the slots for 3 or 4 hours, you got your own little cubicle. They're basically turning it into, the phones you would find in hotel lobbies, those private phone booths. They're turning everything into a phone booth. And to isolate people, now they're still going to have to hire a whole ton of people to clean these things once somebody walks out of it. But with an airplane, it's worthless because of the air filter. You're just not going to do it. Yeah, the air filter will filter out dust and pollen, but that's basically it. Again, and it's one of the things, and we won't beat this horse too much, which is, if anyone, I've yet to be shamed because I don't wear a mask when I'm around people, but if somebody comes up to me, one of the first things I'm going to tell them, it's like, look, your mask does nothing. I go, stand next to a person that's smoking. Can you smell that smoke? Yes. Well, then your mask does nothing. The particulates, bacteria are smaller than smoke particles. It's last time I checked. Oh, it may, sure, you may be able to stop the occasional water droplet, but that's about it. Anyway.
Yeah, the thing I was kind of wondering, I talked to a friend, and she's a medical professional, and I guess I'd always thought with something like your immune system is that once you are immune to something like chicken pox or whatever, you stay that way. But apparently the take on it from her and from other people that I've talked to is your immune system is like a muscle. And so when you isolate yourself and then finally go out, your system is playing catch up ball. And that's, I'll be honest with you, if there really was something, I'm just kind of wondering if we haven't created a second wave effect potential, because you know my situation with health here. Yeah. They originally were telling me to stay home, and I just said, I just can't do that. I mean, I don't go out every day, but I go out every other day. I wash my hands and stuff like that. Now, as you said in Virginia, we have to, when we go into any place of business, you have to wear a mask. If you don't, the health department is tasked with the idea that they will shut you down. So they'll pull your health certificate. So it's not even something the police have to do. If somebody turns you in, and that's the thing that bothers me more than anything else, is right now neighbor is turning on neighbor.
Yeah. Yeah, and that was the.
I talked to.
That was the next thing I wanted.
I'll say this real quickly. Then
go ahead.
Yeah, his daughter and his son-in-law will not let them see their grandchildren, and let them see them for like 10 weeks, and they were crying, and finally he relented, and they went over for a dinner and ate on the porch or something like that. But the grandchildren were just totally upset from not being able to be with the grandparents, and they're good people. And so it's just kind of, it's creating a very strange situation, not only health-wise, but I think emotionally, people are just weird. I mean, now they're turning on each other. That one gal in New York spat at somebody, and it's just like, wow.
I mean, I don't know if you were listening to the first part of the show where, again, right here,
I was,
on my island, where a woman picked up the spray bottle, from the employee had left there, and was spraying people straight in the chest when they were walking in the door. Oh. It's like, what? But she was only hitting people that weren't wearing masks. And we have the south end of the island where I live is very left. And there are people writing into different businesses, and they're threatening them. That same grocery store now has a security guard out front just to stop those incidents from happening. However, they're requiring masks of the customers now, and any businesses not requiring a mask, they are writing letters to them saying, write a mask, wear a mask. They're just hitting them. And you're absolutely right. The snitches are everywhere, and it's blowing my mind. I mean, I thought, it's like, wow, haven't seen this in a while. And that, I remember the country that really pushed.
Can I throw out something else?
Right on the box.
Throw out something else from a pilot? Go ahead, Kara.
I just wanted to say real quick, it says right on the box of the masks that they do not protect from any sort of viral infection.
Right.
These things that people are putting on their faces.
Yeah.
They don't.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
They don't. Anyways, continue. Sorry.
Sorry. No.
Well, I was going to throw. No, you're right. I was going to throw out one other thing from a pilot's point of view, kind of going to what you're talking about. One of the most dangerous situations for a pilot is to become disoriented. And, when you think about the way we get all this stuff from the media coming at us from different directions and different orientations. And, that's what could, the thing with JFK Jr., you get disoriented in night or low visibility or something like that. And it seems like to me that's what kind of is going on with the media. You got stuff saying, people saying that, all these bad things have happened, and maybe they did, but then they got somebody saying, well, they're supplying bricks for these protest things. So you're kind of going, well, what's really going on, And so that's what troubles me, because I'm sitting here as an intelligent person trying to think through the data, and one person saying, no, this is it. The virus is so dangerous that for someone like myself, if you get out, my doctor said, if you get this, you're dead. And I'm kind of going, wow, that's kind of strict. I don't feel that bad. But anyway, so what's the truth? Is it bad or is it not?
Right.
What's going on? So, I got people. And so it's again, that's disorienting to me, because I'm supposed to go down and see my daughter, and do we drive down to see her, or am I committing suicide?
Right.
What's the deal?
Right. And the message that was put forth to senior citizens, anyone basically over the age of, let's round it up to 60, was early on. It was like, if you're over 60, you might as well not go outside. And unfortunately, that group is really, really used to listening to the media, doing what they're told, and that group took it to heart. I mean, there's a lot of senior citizens on the island where I live, and there's a bunch of them I didn't see for at least a month or two, where they just didn't come out of their homes. It's like, well, we're gonna have to live off what's in the pantry. And again, it never panned out. They said, well, the mortality rate was advertised at 3%, then quickly back down to 1%, then 0.5%, then 0.1%, and now it's been revised. It's 0.004. Well, 0.004 is nothing. So what the heck? And yet there are still, like in your state, it's June, and they just implemented a policy in Virginia where you're required to wear masks. In like all indoor places or outdoors as well?
Yeah, once you go into like any place of business where people gather, you're supposed to wear it. But we were up in the Shenandoah park, and people, and the only time people put on a mask is when they went into the bathroom. Other than that, man, they're out hanging around and having a good old time.
Nice.
So that's how they implement it. But you guys might get a kick out of this. A friend of mine was calling his buddy, and he said, "Hey, what are you doing?" And he said, "You won't believe it." I said, "What's that?" He says, "I'm naked." You go, "What?" He'd gone grocery shopping. He'd come into the garage, close the garage door, stripped down, buck naked. They had some way of washing themselves out there, throwing stuff in the washing machine, putting on a jogging suit after they wiped down all the cans with alcohol. And I'm thinking, wow, if we gotta do that to strip naked in the garage so we can, after going grocery shopping, that's getting bad for me.
Yeah, I'm still staggered by the amount of protection that's being implemented now. I mean, it's June, and now you're requiring masks for certain places. It's like,
I don't understand why the mask wearing has intensified.
Yeah.
I don't get that.
Yeah, well, that makes sense.
No, I'm trying to figure out myself, and people again are doing it voluntarily. We don't have any brown shirts enforcing things around here, and yet people are just doing it voluntarily. And part of it is that herd mentality. And you and I talked about this last week, Karen, a bit, which is, people don't want to, everyone wants to be well, I shouldn't say that. Some people want to be individuals, but a lot of people just want to be part of the crowd. They don't want to be left out. And
a lot of people are just ignorant and paranoid, though, because I went to Hobby Lobby today with my daughter, and it was me and my daughter. Of course, I'm not wearing a mask, and I don't require my daughter to wear a mask. And the store is not asking us to wear a mask. So we're in there just shopping in Hobby Lobby, and there's another woman in there with her children, and every single member of that family had a mask on. She started yelling at her boy. She's like, "Stop touching your face. If you're going to touch your face, you better use your hand sanitizer before you touch your face." And I was like, oh my gosh. And she had 4 boys with her. I'm like, are you telling me that you get after 4 boys like that all day, every day? Don't touch your face. You have got to be kidding me.
Yeah. That is wild.
Wow. That's insanity.
Yeah. And again,
what do you think is the thing?
Go ahead.
Do you think it's the thing for me? I was thinking what you're saying at the very end of your rant there, but you said it's easier to convince somebody to fool somebody than it is to convince them they've been fooled. Yeah. And I wonder if now we're not in that phase of they've been fooled, and you can't. I mean, I've got several of my family trying to. Guys, look, this can't be that bad. But like I said, like Karen saying, all that, I can't imagine 4 boys having their old mask on and stuff like that. But how do you unconvince them, or so to speak, what's going on?
Yeah, exactly. When for me, it was really tough because when the Surgeon General comes out for 5 weeks and he says, do not wear masks, do not buy masks, do not wear them. and then then they flip, and you don't see him on TV anymore. He was out there, and then all of a sudden they went around, but then even then it was mixed, where Trump comes out and he says, yeah, you should probably wear a mask. I'm not wearing one, but you guys can probably wear them. And then he started making fun of media that were wearing them, because sometimes like they'd wear them during the press briefings, and then they take them off as soon as the camera's turned off. And we saw that behind the scenes, and it's like, what are you doing? And of course, nobody can actually buy legitimate masks. They're all, well, make your own. And my joke that I like to throw at people, again, waiting for someone to come at me, is that, okay, here's the thing. If I told you starting next week you should wear a blue polka dot mask, you would say, go to hell. However, if CNN says that, next week, I guarantee some of your friends are going to be wearing blue polka dot masks. Even though there's no backing for it whatsoever, they're going to do it. And so sometimes I get mad, but at the same time, it's like, what choice do they have? Unless they're, I shouldn't want to use the word woke, but unless they're into alternative thinking, unless they can think for themselves, a lot of people are just looking to be led. They are looking to, to be tethered up and put reins on them and go through. Anyway, stay with us. We're going to a break, and we're coming back in 3 minutes, and with more from Jim, and then we're going to take your calls and find out what else is going on. Oh, like riots in 20 different cities.
Yeah. All right.
Welcome back to Strange World Part 3 of 4. And that was Control by Hyper. And I mentioned that because I forgot, because I was distracted by all the other stuff that was going on. That the break before, it was Joe Jackson stepping out from his album Night and Day. It's you, me, and Karen B, and Jim McGuire, 40-year pilot and exotic male dancer sometimes. I don't know if that's true. I
don't know about that. You've never seen me dance.
No, you can't be any worse than me. I've been told that I literally dance sometimes like a bobblehead, and that's not a good thing. So we were talking before about the virus and how it affects planes, and how the pandemic is just not what it says it is. But I thought it was interesting that during the break we heard that headline. I just verified that on CNN, in that, like, North Carolina, where the Republican National Convention is supposed to happen, and Trump initially said, I'm not going to do it until you let up the social distancing for this thing, because I want a packed arena. Of course he does. It's a national convention. Why wouldn't you? Rock stars aren't going to play to empty seats. And they've said, nope, we're not going to do it. So they said, either you're going to have less people, or you have to go somewhere else. And so now Trump says the Republicans are looking at other states nearby to do the convention. I think they probably have time to pull it off. But amazing. Again, people are holding fast to the rules, like in Virginia. All of a sudden it's like, oh no, we're doubling down. We're going to require masks of everybody all the time, even though there are other states, my favorite being North Dakota, that is shaming people for wearing masks because they just don't have the numbers. And again, that doesn't go with a normal pandemic. A normal pandemic rips through everything, and the mortality rate is consistent throughout wherever it is. So if it's 1% here, it's 1% there, it's 1 in 100, no matter where you are. If your town has 1,000 people, you lose 10.
Pandemic.
The what?
A normal pandemic. Have we ever had a normal pandemic?
Well, I personally, for me, and I got to use something, because there's only one modern day pandemic that we really had, and that was the Spanish flu that was 100 years ago. And if you believe it, and
verify the events of it, though, that's
let's just we'll go with it just because the numbers, the mortality rate is high, which was 1 out of every 100 people died supposedly. And if that was the case, if you had a mortality rate of 1 in 100 people, which is why you see protesters. Let's segue that into the protesters. The reason why you have so many people protesting rather than staying home because they're scared of the virus is because nobody's scared of the virus, because nobody knows anybody that died. To use the Richie from Boston line again, do you have anyone on your contact list on your phone, or Rolodex if you don't have a phone, that died from this? Nobody does. And so I guarantee you, if the kids, the millennials, the Gen Zs that are out there now, if they knew people that died, hell no, they wouldn't be out there. You kidding? I mean, they get people, sharing water and milk and, toe to toe. I mean, some of those crowds are getting pretty jammed in there. So let's talk about this real.
It's not.
Go ahead.
But it was one of the things that they were saying that in 1918, I was kind of back and looking at that again, that people forget that the congestion was a lot greater because they were bringing troops back from Europe that had bad nutrition, bad circumstances, and then they put them on an ocean liner that's supposed to have 1,500 people, and there's 4,000 soldiers on that one ship.
Sure.
So you have uber, concentration, and that's what I'm saying. We don't have that right now.
Right.
We don't have the 4,500 people in a space that's only supposed to be occupied by 1,000.
No.
So.
And the big difference, again, if you believe, I got to use something as the gold standard. If you believe in the old pandemic, the big difference between them and now is that in 1918 there were no planes. Nobody was flying anywhere. Less than 1,000th of the percentage of the population ever flew in their lifetime up until that point, because there just were no planes. Which is why the speed of how things travel now. I mean, how many movies have we seen this in? It's like, the end of 12 Monkeys, which I love so much. It's like his whole goal was to get the virus with him on a plane. That was it. That was his whole goal, because he knew once that happened, that was it. He could just kick back and let it run its course, because people get off planes. You don't know unless you business travel. Once you get into a crowded airport, those people go into other planes. They go to other crowded airports, and then eventually everyone goes home, and it's the whole world in 2 weeks. Anyway, let's talk about the riots real quick, and then we'll take some phone calls, because the phone lines are piling up. And that is because that's the thing now, is that because of the George Lloyd Minnesota Police Department incident, and the fact that you have a huge amount of the population, especially millennials and Gen Zers, who are unemployed and out of money and bored out of their tree, because you have given them no other distractions. They can't go to the clubs. They can't go to the restaurants. There's no basketball games to go to. They can't do anything. So all of a sudden you've given them something to do. Remember what I said? Give them something to love, or give them something to hope for, or give them something to do. They now have a unified cause to something to do. It's social. So why the heck wouldn't they go? And so you've turned the streets into this giant club for some and a looting scenario for others. And, which is why this is happening day after day. Whereas, the Rodney King stuff, it lasted a little while, but the internet was really, really slow. And this is just keeps spreading. I mean, there's a town not far from here called Spokane up in Washington. Spokane is not known for any sort of protests. And they're protesting in Spokane. So, and why not? It's like, hey, Fred, you got something to do? I don't know. Want to go protest? Sure. Get some bricks. And then off they go. And milk.
Bricks.
Yeah, bricks. And in the big cities, it started out a little slow. It was just Minneapolis, but then it spread to everywhere. And now you could go into YouTube right now and you type in the word protest and just no filters, just click on it, and you'll see all these live feeds, like a dozen different live feeds from different cities. Mostly it's U.S. There's a few outside the United States, but it's mostly U.S. stuff. And between that and the virus, the United States of America, that whole United part, that is being eroded in a hurry.
It's a freaking mess.
Yep.
It's a freaking mess. This place is the biggest mess I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And I haven't lived my whole life. I haven't lived that long compared to some, but oh man, this place is just a mess.
I know. And it's a state by state and sometimes county by county. It's people say, well, it's going to go into like devolve into a civil war. And like, I don't know what kind of civil war it would be because this isn't the North versus the South. Mm-hmm. This isn't that anymore. I don't know what this is. I mean, you want to call it red state versus blue state because there are some red cities versus blue cities and counties versus counties. I mean, it's devolved now to where I'll throw one more thing out at you as a little story I heard just recently. There's a garden center right down the road from me. I'm not going to give you the name of it, but you can look it up on Facebook if you want, if you know where I am. And the owner of it recently put out that anyone that wears Trump memorabilia, especially the red hats, are no longer allowed in the store. And she's using the riots as an excuse for this. It's like, like this was the straw that broke the back in her case. And she's like, nope, that's it. So anyone, and I had to look this up. A friend of mine mentioned this to me, that this whole red hat being tied to hate speech, this has been around for a while. I didn't realize how serious it was, though. And then I saw a protester just recently, young white kid who showed up with a red hat to a mostly black protest. Oh my God. They chased him down and beat him up. And, he was just by himself. I don't know what he was thinking. But again, that's the sort of division that we're seeing here, the polarity, where all of a sudden, where your leanings are politically are a big deal. I mean, a really big deal now. It's like, where people won't talk to you, they won't serve you. It's stunning, absolutely stunning to me.
You know what? This is just, I think you've just seen two back-to-back major events that show us how easily the masses are manipulated.
Yeah.
And in polar opposite directions. Yeah. Everybody stay home, lockdown, you're on lockdown, don't touch anybody, don't touch anything. And then 3 months later, everybody's out in the street throwing shit, setting stuff on fire, beating everybody up. Who writes this stuff?
I know.
I heard, I was like, I posted on Facebook the other day, I was like, whose nightmare am I in and how the F do I get out of it?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I heard somebody made an interesting comment today. I think it was Tucker Carlson on Fox. And he said, he's been getting a lot stronger with his editorials. And he said, he goes, this isn't a race war. He goes, this is a class war disguised as a race war. He goes, look at the people that are out there, the younger millennials and the Gen Zers. He goes, you're talking about a lot of unemployed, very unhappy people that have no prospects, and you've now given them a cause. Yeah. I mean, yeah, they're going out there, they're chanting and saying the right things, but I think deep in their heart, they're going to be asking themselves in a week, why are we still out here? Oh, that's right, because the country's locked us down and we have nothing to do, and you've taken our future from us. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Mark. One thing that scares me, I'm certainly not an expert on the war in Bosnia, but we had one of the people stayed here if you're coming over from Bosnia. And I said, how did you go from just living side by side with people to having a genocidal war? Right. And she said what happened is that they didn't have they had a polarization on either extreme polarization, and then somebody stepped in the middle and shot both directions. And it seems like to me that if it gets so volatile, that if you get somebody goes into the wrong section, they said whatever it is, it starts some acts of violence like this one thing, and you lit up the whole country. Yeah. Can you imagine if somebody tried to do it at a more forceful level? That would really be catastrophic.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me say this one more thing, and then we're gonna pick up some calls, if you don't mind, Jim. I don't know if you have any questions for Jim, feel free to ask him. If you have any questions for me, don't. But if you have anything you want to say to Karen that's nice, please do. The one of the oldest tricks in the book, literally one of the oldest tricks in the book, is you walked up to somebody when he's not looking, you hit him in the back of the head, and when they spin around, you point to your friend.
Absolutely.
Yeah, point to your friend, and they will go straight at him. It's like, why wouldn't they? Because you're the witness.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
It works on a small scale, and it works on a very large scale. All right, let's go to our favorite Amazon employee. Sorry she had to wait for 76 minutes. Wow, that's a long time. Dottie out near Seattle. What's happening, Dottie?
You should always be sorry that I have to wait that long, but you guys are lucky. I love you, so it's not a problem. So yeah, I think that I have the cure for like all problems in the world, and it just is a flat Earth meetup. I ended up having about 15 people come to the meetup, and yeah, it was actually really ridiculous. I woke up to like a mad. Yeah, it was thunderstorming literally all day. Like, it was ridiculous. It's been so sunny every weekend for so long now, but the one weekend that my meetup is, it's a thunderstorm, and I'm like getting emails that it's extreme weather, and I'm just like, yeah, I really know how to plan that. And so yeah, I was going to cancel it, but then Ted was like, no, we should just go ahead and do it, because he was leaving the next day, and he's like, I really want to meet some of these people, and like it was like kind of a send off for Ted in a way. And so yeah, we decided to just go ahead with it, and we ended up taking over the covered pavilion it still had caution tape all around it, but everybody who was inside the caution tape was protected from COVID because none of us were wearing masks. We were all standing close to each other. We could all hug each other. And the best part was we actually watched someone get like downloaded in real time or something. I don't even know how it happened, but so a park attendant, he was like driving through, and he had to come right next to us, and as soon as I saw him, I was like, oh man, like this guy's probably gonna tell us that we need to disband, or and yeah, he stopped and he was like, hey, you guys know why that thing is closed, right? And a couple guys walked over and they just started talking to him, and they were just like, no, we understand why it's closed, but our group is immune. We're all good. Like we're not affected by that. And the guy like pulled out his phone, like he was going to call the cops on us or something. I don't know who he was going to call, but he was going to call someone. And then the two guys talking to him, they were super polite, and they're just like, hey, like, what do you want us to do? Do you want us to step like outside the pavilion, or we can step like 6 feet away from each other? Do you want us to do that? And he was just like, I guess some people just don't follow the same rules as everybody else, so have a good day. And then he put down his phone and he drove away and left us alone. And we're just like, did that guy just like get like downloaded information to him that he was just like, these people aren't going to give a shit, just leave them alone, like it's fine. But yeah, it was really amazing to watch that happen. But
that's awesome.
Yeah, it was an awesome time, really great.
That's really great. Cool. Well, I'm happy for you guys. And again, as soon as as you know, the rain was amazing that day, and I thought it was like, oh man, they're doomed. But good for you. Good, if anyone can stick it out, it's flat earthers. That's great.
Oh yeah, we were there for, let's see, I think we got there, a couple of us were there like a little after 2, and then we stayed until I think almost 7, and yeah, and then we just kind of all disbanded and made our way back to wherever. But
Gotcha.
But yeah, it was awesome. I got to meet I'm not going to remember everybody's name, but All People Free People was there, and Stealing Fan Man. Friendella's Are Flat. Ted Summer was there. Rasta Bear drove up from Portland, so that was really cool to meet like another bear in person.
Nice.
And yeah, then like a handful of other people. But yeah, it was seriously just the best time, because I swear as soon as people realized our group was the group they were looking for, and then they step inside the caution tape, you could just feel their frequency just raise, and like all this relief just dropped off of them. They're just like, oh my God, like normal people, yay! Like nobody's wearing a mask, nobody's scared of me. Nice. And it was just like, yeah, such high energy, like, you know, Flat Earth always is. So I think that really is the cure for everything. Like that's the best way to peacefully protest and share information and meet friends is Flat Earth. So everybody needs to plan a meetup.
Wonderful.
I agree.
What wonderful. That warms the cockles of my heart. It really does.
You know, this is actually the first meetup I have been to that you were not at, Mark. So that was.
I am so sorry. but even honestly, even if I could have gone, I would have called up immediately and said, "Oh my God, there's no way." I mean, the rain came down here. We didn't even have the thunder and lightning. We just had straight up downpour. I've never seen clouds that dark at 8:30 in the morning. It was. I honestly thought, is this it? We're going to enter the 3 days of darkness? Please, please, please. No, we just got rain.
Please.
Oh, you don't understand, guys. I wrote a survival manual for a reason. I'm rooting for this. I have watched way too many disaster movies. I'm all keyed up on it.
Before this, it was raining like that at my house like every day. Literally every day. It was like a monsoon at my house.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like half my driveway washed down into the little low-lying area.
That's saying something. Hey, Dottie, I got to let you go because I want to pick up at least one caller before the break because, as you know, it's a call-in show.
No problem.
So,
shout out to Zulu One. Love you guys.
All right, see ya.
Here, Dottie.
Let's go to... let's do this. Let's do H-Town, 281. It's you, me, Karen B, and Jim.
What's happening? Ron O'Neill coming out that north side, H-Town. What it does, players.
What up? I'm so white.
Man, not much. Ain't nothing up right now but my blood pressure right now because I'm getting tired of these agent provocateurs dropped off in these black communities enticing riots or whatever, to where you clearly see shit on YouTube or whatnot of motherfuckers dropping off bricks or whatever where bricks ain't supposed to be, to where they got video of this one lady stopping the car or whatever, saying, why are you handing these bricks off to these boys or whatever, to where I slapped them damn glasses off your ass or whatever, to where they had some like white guys in bandanas or whatnot, and they're being paid by top political figures to entice these riots. So I'm waiting on some bricks to be dropped off in Acres home, because I'll take them shits and we'll build us a house. Me and around.
Nice.
Snatch his ass out the car and beat him like Ike beat Tina. We'll be kung fu fighting, straight up, you know. So, but yeah.
How is Houston, by the way? Go ahead.
Oh, we chilling, man. The economy really, truly never just really shut down. Now everything's open back up, so every day's like a Saturday right now. You know, people are just happy to be out, and there's really just no rioting right there. We had a couple protests downtown that were somewhat peaceful, and a few things got out of hand in Third Ward. Rest in peace to George Floyd from Third Ward, South Side, Houston. You know, I knew a few people he knew. So I mean, but other than that, but you know, they got checked real quick. You know, we ain't letting you fuck up our communities or whatnot. But people gotta just really just like you say, we're going through information warfare. You predicted that back last year. You predicted this plandemic, not a pandemic, like last year. So I mean, you know, you got these certain people like pedophiles fighting for their lives, man. A distraction, like you say, the right hand's doing this, the left hand is, you know, really bending you over and sticking you that wood in you raw. No Vaseline. So, I mean,
yeah. No, it's true. It's true.
All I got. You know,
all right.
So, I mean, much love to y'all. And what do you predict, man? Real quick, man, coming up of this next 5 months of bullshit and assholishness and dumb shit. What's coming next?
I think not 5 months of it. I think when the weather gets hotter, they're going to come up with something new because people don't get really afraid until you get like a heat wave. The heat wave is really what pisses people off more than anything. And then that's when you should drop it, whatever else you're going to do. But they can. We'll see. I'm kind of curious to see if the millennials and the Gen Zers are going to stay on the streets for another couple of weeks. I mean, like Occupy Wall Street didn't last forever. Now, granted, that was just one city, but at the same time, they're not working. So maybe they can stay on the street for a few more weeks. Hard to say. I'm just not sure yet.
Oh, yeah, but I'm just expecting bullshit. So, I mean, you know, like I said, I ain't got much. Shout out to the whole world. You, Karen Beasy, you, Sir Pilot. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Much love to you. And real quick, Mark, in 1969, didn't they have something like the Hong Kong virus that killed over 1 million people worldwide, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah, but that was, but again, that was 1 million people worldwide. Yeah,
exactly. I'm saying that to say that at the same time, Woodstock was going on. So even hippies have more nuts than some of these people out here.
Yeah,
right.
But in 1969, a million people would have sounded like a lot more than it does now.
Sure, and they still didn't lock down anything.
No, okay.
No,
that's the big difference.
Exactly.
It's like, look, we went through Ebola, we went through swine flu. Nobody closed nothing.
Exactly. Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, awesome. I'll holler at y'all. Shout out to myself. And, you know, one tip for the fellas out there with their spouse or whatever. Remember, right now, be nice to them. They could poison you, and it would be counted as a COVID death. Peace.
All right. See you, man. Have a good one.
Mark.
What?
Remember when this whole COVID thing broke out? You were like, there has to be an event.
Yeah.
Is this the event? Or are we
No. People have been emailing me saying, "Is this it?" I'm going, "No, this isn't it."
I don't think this is the event either. Look, okay, like earlier, even myself, when I verbalized it, I was like, "We've seen 2 back-to-back things," and you know how things always happen in threes. I'm just like, "Oh, well, what's the third thing then?"
Yeah. I mean,
it's got to be a third thing, right?
Absolutely. I'm a you know me. I'm a huge believer in threes. By the way, I have 20 seconds till the break. This is just a pressure cooker right now. This is just, you know, getting, because you're going to tick off a lot of people. You know, you're bringing out the National Guard, you're hitting people with rubber bullets, you're getting people outraged. I mean, there's going to be so many videos posted out there. Look what happened to me. I got hit with tear gas and got splashed with milk and all this other stuff.
But seriously, a lot of bad things have happened. I've seen some videos of people that have been killed, like shop owners protecting their shops or trying to. I mean, gnarly stuff is going down because that herd mentality. Tavistock Institute, man. It's so easy to manipulate people.
Agreed, but it's not the event. We're going to the break. Last break. We'll come back. Me and Karen B. Don't go anywhere.
You are now tuned into the truth frequency.
Your protection from deception. TLR.
Truth Frequency Radio.
Welcome back to Strange World, part 4 of 4. It's you, me, Karen B, and 40-year pilot Jim McGuire. If you have any questions for him. Oh, yeah, by the way, he believes the world is not what we think it is, that it's a flattish surface. He's been flying for a long time. Are you a pilot? No, probably not. No, don't talk, Jim. Don't. I'm trying to antagonize any globalist that might be listening. The point is, he knows more about flying than you do. So, shut up.
Yeah.
You know what? Let's pick up some calls because, good Lord, they won't stop. Here's one. I don't know if I know this one. This is 818 out of North Hollywood. North Hollywood, are you there, or are you just listening?
I hope I'm here. Am I here?
As far as I can tell. What's up?
Okay, thank you very much. Oh, my goodness. You know what? I'm going to have to re-listen to the show like 3 times to, absorb everything that's gone down.
We've talked about a lot. That's true.
Yeah, you certainly have. Oh, I'm sorry. This is not my real name.
It's all right. You don't even have to use your name at all. What happened to him?
Really enjoyed watching the live streams for the
SpaceX. That's right. No, the SpaceX launch.
Yeah. It was really, I liked the first one more because I got to hear everybody, and it was really funny. What I really noticed how you had like 5 people in the chat, and everybody was very polite and didn't step on each other or anything like that. That was, really good. Really,
nice.
Really good.
Wonderful.
Oh, Karen.
Yeah.
Karen. Oh, hi.
Oh, hi.
Karen. Oh, hi. Yeah, so I couldn't notice, I couldn't help but notice on the second broadcast you were using some little muscle memory there when you were stroking the Falcon there while it was going up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and?
So I'm so sorry. So I was going to ask,
and?
What's your, I'm so sorry.
Are you stupid?
What's your boyfriend's name?
Are you stupid?
I've been clinically diagnosed as a moron, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I am. I'm so stupid.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say that, you did that little thing and,
you suck. Next caller.
Wow, he just disappeared off the line after that. I don't know what happened to him. Let's go the other side of the country. Let's go to New York. New York, are you there? Are you under quarantine? Are you burning? Oh. Yeah, I'm oh boy.
Okay.
Could be one of those
I'm in
nights.
New York.
Yeah, your phone is not the clear. Your phone isn't the clearest in the world. Are you calling from upstate? You calling from the city? Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from the city, but you know what, Mark? I will just call the number to just listen. But I'm in New York. It's crazy here. All the big stories are hit, and I'm one of those conspiracy-like person, and those stories were hit like they were done by professionals. Because I'm passing them every day. Oh yeah, if this is about collecting insurance on top of the relief, then I actually believe it's terrible here. It's terrible. I've never seen New York like this. You could lay down in the street and don't see a car for minutes.
Nice.
And that's not even, it's terrible. But you know what, Mark? You remember that thing you spoke about a while back about the cold light from the moon? It's called a diabetic laser.
Yeah.
A diabetic laser. That's what I always wanted to call you about and tell you what it is. It's a real thing. It's a cold laser.
Yeah, I have no doubt. And well, anyway, tell you what, we will have you call back when there's less background noise. No offense. All right, let's jump over to whatever was happening there. And oh, by the way, I also figured out the beeping that was happening. The beeping was because TFR. It's the show line. You're absolutely right, Peanut. The show line doesn't have his notifications turned off. So yeah, don't use the channel with TFR. How many more calls? We have minutes. We got time. Let's jump over back over to the other side of the country. Let's go to California, somewhere near Corning. 530.
Hey there, this is Geronimo. That's not my real name. It's actually William. Hey, hey, Kevin. Hey, Mark.
Hey.
Hi.
And hey, what was that one caller's trip? That was weird. Anyway,
he's jealous because he can't be with me. He can't be me, or he can't be with me. So he had to call and try to troll me.
Yeah, they hate you because they ain't you.
That's right. I'm the best.
So hey, you've been getting things in my little small town, and I'm not going to name it if that's okay. But I got a Facebook notification out of a protest, and they told us to wear masks. It was a Facebook post saying we're going to go protest in front of the courthouse in my small town. And I'm like, what are we protesting? We're not even doing anything here. But anyway, I didn't go. But now I'm wishing I would have. I should have looked around for bricks, seeing if they were aged or not.
Nice.
Yeah, I didn't do it though. But hey, question: do you think? I wonder if Dottie's meetup. Did anybody bring a kite and a key by chance?
Wow, that is a date you, a little Benjamin Franklin electricity experiment. Very nice. Very nice.
That was kind of my history, and it is true. And you know what I heard? This didn't make the textbook, but he was wearing a mask while he did that.
Oh, wouldn't surprise me. Wouldn't surprise me. There's one of the intro to my channel on YouTube where a tree gets basically blown in half by a lightning strike. From the research that I've done on it, a lot of people don't know is that wasn't just some random lightning strike. The kids that were watching it, that had the camera on it, actually flew a kite with some metal on the top of it. And for exactly that period. Now they didn't think it was actually going to happen. Because even fishing for lightning, it isn't a guarantee. But they got more than they bargained for. So can be done.
Yeah,
I should think about doing
witnessed
that.
lightning about a football field away, and I don't ever want it to happen again. That was enough for me. Hey, Jim McGuire, is that as in the same name that McGuire Air Force Base is named after?
Well, no, it's actually named after a fighter pilot in flew P-38s in the Pacific in World War II. So it's not the same. When I was a commercial pilot, I flew by it all the time, but unfortunately, it's not named after me.
Okay. So, I didn't know if it was a family name. Family name. I don't know if you guys remember, but I am a 14-year Air Force veteran, and I will tell you every time I flew, and I flew 2 times to Europe, 3 times and 2 separate times to the Far East. And every time we flew, it never made sense once we got up in the air. It never made sense the direction we wound up going, because I have the ability to think spatially, I think. It was one of my my strong points in my ASVAB, spatial thinking. And it never, ever, ever made sense why we were going the direction we were going if the world was a globe. And you think about it for just a little while, right? And then, you go back to your magazine or talking to somebody and you just don't give it much thought. But when this all came to my mind, thanks to you, Mark, thank you. I remember those immediately came to my mind. That was one of me that happened besides all the scriptures. And so, I don't know if you said in the past what kind of aircraft you've flown, or if you were indeed a pilot or crew chief or whatever. I'm not sure. But, yeah, I never thought it never made sense. It didn't seem like we were ever on a ball. So,
but it's really kind of funny you mentioned that, because I have a friend that flies 777s, and he was saying he was flying from Texas to Hong Kong, and he said he liked that because you flew by the North Pole. You know, that doesn't make sense. But if you look at it on flat Earth, if you're in Fort Worth and you start going toward Hong Kong, it takes you by the polar North Pole and by North Korea. Whereas if you're on a globe, it would show you going out west across the Pacific. So it was kind of, he doesn't believe in this kind of stuff, but he was just telling me about the routes. So like you say, the routes don't make sense.
Right.
When you think of them that way. Yeah.
Yep.
So I did get the opportunity to do an incentive flight in F-16 in my career, and that was pretty cool, but I knew nothing about this whole thing, and I wish I could redo it knowing what I know now. I think I'd look at things a lot differently.
Yeah.
I personally. So anyway, all right, guys. Well, thanks. Good show. Always good talking to you, Karen. You bring a dynamic to the show that Mark desperately needs, and so that is good stuff. And a shout out to Patricia, Jaron, closest neighbor I got, and hopefully we'll have a Sacramento meetup soon. Hopefully we'll be able to do all this BS. Right?
All right. Have a good one, man.
All right.
See ya.
Take care. Yeah.
Bye.
Bye. All right, I think we can take a couple more at least. Let's jump over to Indianapolis. Possibly. 317, are you there? Middle of the country. Midwest.
Yeah, hey, Mark.
Hey. Hey.
Good evening, Mark.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mark.
Killing me, man.
Karen, is your bidet heated? Sorry, brother. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can absolutely hear you.
Sorry. All right. Yeah, the non-essentials can get a job joining the Army at $40,000 a year. I saw an ad on TV for that today, or ad somewhere for that. I was a flight attendant for 2 years, Mark, in 1989.
Yeah.
And I never got sick but one time. I never got sick once. And they said, hey, when you start off, go online and say, don't wash your hands. I was like, what? Yeah, don't wash your hands. I got sick once after 2 years. And we flew all the time. So that's kind of crazy.
That is crazy.
And we used to smoke in the cockpit, too, back in 89. And now it's that flat window. It looks flat. I never thought about it. So first-time caller, long-time listener.
What took you so long?
I don't know. I don't know. I sent you an email today about Space Force show on TV.
Oh, yeah. I have gotten a ton of people that have sent me, and I watched the whole season. You know, it's 10 episodes. It's on Netflix, and it's pretty funny. You know, it's campy humor about Space Force. You know, it's what I think is funny is that it's actually covering Space Force missions before Space Force even has missions, which is neat. And they have a bunch of flat Earth references, which is great.
Okay, that's the first one I ever saw. I thought you'd be really interested. And besides the way, Silgizic acid will clean the pineal gland up from the other day. And let's see, I got notes. I'm looking at notes. Yeah, non-essentials can get jobs for the military at $40,000 a year to do this. You know, that's blowing stuff up. It's like, wow. And other than that, that's all I got. I've been flat for 2 years, November. Yeah. And right before the Denver conference, I went flat because of Skiba, doing a little Nephilim research of Bigfoot. Oh yeah, by the way, Karen.
Yes.
Do you plant two gardens? One for Nineveh in the back by the woods, and one by your house. You know, big brother Bigfoot. Because they will steal from your garden. If, you know where you live. It looks pretty waxy over there.
There's plenty of stuff. They can have whatever I plant lots of stuff. I mean, I always do that anyway. I always plant enough for nature because that's just how it is. Some stuff is going to rot. Some stuff is going to get eaten.
Right on. We got chickens and a garden and stuff here. We're outside of Indianapolis. Sorry to be so nervous. Yeah, I'm waiting for you guys. So yeah,
no. You don't have to be nervous. No. I know it's easier for us.
2 years out, I flew.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, do this because I do want to take two more calls before we close down. You know, don't be a stranger. Now that I know what to look for, we don't get a lot of calls from Indianapolis, believe it or not. Now that I know what to look for, call in another time and we'll talk.
Sure, I'm 55 and disabled. I'm home a lot. I had my back broke work a couple years ago, sheet metal worker. And there's one flat sheet metal worker brother here in Indianapolis, and that's all I know. Flat
well,
I'm sure. Here, except,
I'm sure there's more out there somewhere. And by the way, thanks for the Space Force tip, and thanks to everybody that called in and or wrote me and said, "Hey, watch Space Force." It's like, okay, sure. I'm a Steve Carell fan anyway, so I loved it.
Cool. Also, shout out to Bob Nodel's team. They're awesome. Globebusters, and it's a call-in show. So have a good night, Mark.
All right. You have a good one. See ya.
Let someone else get in. Thanks, brother. Bye,
right.
Karen. Thanks.
Bye.
I love the beginning of that, by the way. Mark. It's like, what? I'm right here. All right, let's pick up two more. Let's jump all the way out to Hawaii because Peanut Gallery is saying, pick up Hawaii. And yeah, that's a great question by Peanut Gallery.
Mahalo.
Hey, so Peanut Gallery asks, are there riots in Hawaii? I'm betting not.
Nope. Maybe over a parking spot, but no, not really.
No, I don't think they're going to be yelling "No justice, no peace" down the streets of Honolulu. I don't see it.
No. And like I said, the bikini and the mask, I think that'll pass. You can get through stores like that. It's a tire for a beach.
That is ridiculous. A bikini and a mask? Is that actually a thing?
Yeah. They're walking around shorts, tank tops, and a mask. Flip flops, barefoot. Yep.
Yeah, in your case, all you're going to be caring about is what's happening with the virus and whatever new restrictions, because the whole rioting thing, that's not even going to... You're probably just watching TV going, oh, look, the states are burning down again. But nothing with you guys. Same thing, by the way, in Alaska. I imagine Anchorage. They're probably looking, going, hey, it looks warm outside. That's probably all they're saying.
Yeah. Yep.
So.
Exactly. But they got bears. I don't.
Any other interesting things happening in Hawaii?
Not today, but maybe tomorrow. And I guess I'll relay that message next week.
You know, I just thought about this. If, and I'm a big fan of zombie apocalypse movies, even though I know that zombies are unlikely for various medical reasons. It makes me sad because Hawaii would never actually see a zombie apocalypse unless it was, something else magical going on. I think that would be kind of fun to do a zombie movie in Hawaii. But I'm getting off topic.
Yeah, because we'd light the coconuts on fire and throw them out in the ocean and let them go chase them.
Yep. Or lead them into like a magma flow. Ooh, that'd be fun.
Right.
That'd be really cool.
The beaches are open.
Follow me.
All right. I gotta take one more call. So any shout outs before I let you go back into your paradise?
And mahalo, you guys are wonderful. I appreciate everything that you do. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good one. See ya. All right. Last but certainly not least, we're going to pick up, let's see. Who am I going to go with? Let's go with 845. Start spreading the news. I'm leaving today. I want to be a part of the protest.
Be a part of... Oh, shit, somebody's throwing bricks. Sorry, got it done. New York stuck. This place is crazy, man. Crazy.
Waiting for Mark to just be like, fuck you.
Oh, my God. The governor is the biggest piece of crap. He's insulting the mayor, the cops, and he's saying, oh, we need the military, and they don't understand the scope of this and the length. I'm like, he just wants boots on the ground for weeks and months. Oh, my God, it's just fucking nuts.
Now,
hello, Karen. Hello, Mark. Hello, Jim.
Hey. No, from what I understand,
I'm just pissy, man. My truck blew up, my car blew up, my laptop blew up. I'm in a bad mood.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and New York sucks. Oh my God! All I can do is laugh.
Sometimes when you laugh, I swear, when you have that real laugh, you sound like the lion in the Wizard of Oz.
Nice. Hey, well, I'm not cowardly though.
No, I didn't say you're cowardly. I'm just saying you sound like.
I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding.
He's got that
stabbings and shootings and looting. Oh my, it's like crazy.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So of course, New York is doing protests every night in multiple parts of the city. I've heard that the
dude, my brother's in the mix, man. He's
he's down there.
I don't like it. Don't like it. Don't like it at all. People acting the fool.
Well,
at what point does it become self-defense when they're trying to flip your fucking car?
Right.
It's just ridiculous. Oh, remember, people, looting is protesting. What the fuck? What is wrong with people? And I will not give anyone the satisfaction about making it race. You motherfuckers, this happens to everyone. You don't say all lives matter. All lives matter. I'm brown. I grew up in the 70s in Orange County, New York, and I've had guns in my face more than half you little punks. Oh, I'm so pissed. Pissed. And yes, you guys should watch Space Force. It's absolutely hysterical. Episode 3, the senator says the Earth is flat, and they got like an AOC person and a Pelosi person. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, the senator was awesome, and I don't know who he was supposed to be, who they were doing a parody of, but he goes, and it's our beautiful world, and it's flat. And Steve Carell's going, well, I think the jury's still out on that one. He does it a second time, and Steve Carell's going, come on, Bob. He's going, it's not true. It was great. It was like we did that. That's awesome.
It is a good show. It's funny show.
We influence all media now, so it's totally worth it. 10 episodes.
It's everywhere.
Looking for some laughs, have a couple drinks, and watch it. Totally worth it.
Everywhere. Hey, I'll just say real quick, shout out to Dottie, Ron H, Karen B, Jim the pilot, Mark Sargent, and then I'll end. I got a question for Jim. I hope to give him enough time. Have you ever seen anything unidentified up there? All your years, have you ever seen anything that was like, what? I don't know what that is. Curious.
Not really. I haven't seen.
No?
I've seen 2 drones get too close to us one time. A couple times.
Really?
About it. Nothing. Yeah, nothing saucer shaped or anything. And believe me, I look out a lot what it's like.
Awesome. You're the man.
That's awesome. Well, anyway, we gotta shut this down. So, Mark, you gotta go.
All right. Love all you guys. Love you guys. Bye.
Stay safe. All right.
Bye.
And normally I would let Mark go all the way to the end of the show. However, we have a guest who's still hanging on the line with us. So thank you so much, Jim McGuire, for coming on and talking to us about just all things pilot, about the virus and what's happening in Virginia, and the fact that you're a 40-year pilot and you're with us. Any closing remarks? Anything you want to mention? You got about 30, 45 seconds.
I think real quickly, your remark was very good, because our mask curfew thing was put into place last Friday, so that's how late they delayed this whole thing. So you were right about that. So it was literally last Friday that they did that. So appreciate your insight on that. So that really helped kind of put it in perspective a little bit. So anyway, but great being on with you all again. And Karen, good to talk to you again.
Yeah, same to you.
And, hopefully we can get you on again soon. Let me know. Just keep me posted if anything's weird's happening down in Virginia, or I should say more weird than what's going on. We'll be back again next week, weather permitting. And, as long as, I don't think anything's going to burn down up here. or Peanut Gallery where he is, or Karen, where we're actually, between Karen, Peanut, and I, we're all in pretty remote areas, so we're pretty safe, even if the zombie apocalypse came. So thank you everybody for listening. Next week, of course, I'm going to do my fun rant on everything that I believe in, just start hitting all the points, laying it out for people, because I know that everyone wants to know. It's like, what else besides flat Earth? It's like, well, I have an opinion on just about every conspiracy there is, and I'm going to probably blow out 20 of them for you real quickly. That's it. Next week, same. Sorry, what?
I said that should be interesting.
Yes, it should. Same flat time, same flat channel. Cue music. Say goodnight, Karen.
Good night, Karen.
Say goodnight, Jim. Jim? Didn't hang up? Ah, crap. Well, there's still time for...
Good night, I'm sorry. Good night, everybody. I hit the my bad. See you guys.
Hot sex,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Hot sex.
Hot sex.